Alrighty, so it's been a few days since I've recorded any of this series, but we are at 2027's, basically the trade deadline, a couple days away from the trade deadline, and I made sure to write down what I left off on here, and that is that I want to try to acquire a lefty bullpen guy, like back into the bullpen guy, since, didn't somebody get hurt? Yeah, Jack Walker was probably our best lefty bullpen guy, and even he's not that great. So I would like to try to acquire somebody, since isn't Aaron Fletcher, like, he was really bad and we DFA'd him and he got claimed, I believe is what happened. So acquiring a good lefty bullpen arm is something that I want to do, and then also pick up a couple, like, buy low bats. Obviously, we're a team that's not really in that good of a position to make the playoffs. Like, we're definitely not winning our division. The wild card is like our only chance, and we're still in it, but I mean, we're not a team that should be like buying a ton at the deadline. So if I can like give like a team some like just some random prospect for like a decent bat who could help out a little bit, then I might want to pick up like two of those guys in addition to a lefty bullpen arm who also is probably going to be pretty cheap to pick up. Now, just taking a look at who's on the trading block for lefty relievers, there's Ben Bowden, who is on a 2-year deal, so we're not really interested in him. Also hasn't been great this season. There is also Taylor Gilbo, who would be cool to bring back, but once again, he is on a 2-year deal, and I'm not trying to pick that up for the next 2 seasons, or for the rest of this season, and also next year. And then there's also Johan Eibar, who is a guy we could pick up. You know, I feel like he could be a solid back end of the rotation guy or back end of the bullpen guys for us. He's been very good in Boston this season. Really hasn't gotten much MLB time at all, and he's already 30 years old. So he would be a guy we could pick up, and he'd even be like a member of our team for a few seasons if he's that good. Or we could go for even just reacquiring Aaron Fletcher here, who got claimed off waivers. He has actually been pretty good with the Royals here, but the thing is, he doesn't have as much tight team control. He's still pretty cheap. I'm not sure if I want to reacquire him. I think Eibar is the guy we want to go after as the first option. Brendan McKay here is wrecked, and he's also a starter. Alrighty, so we actually are going to pick up Johan Eibar here, the lefty from the Red Sox. He's fragile, which isn't the best thing, but I mean, I think he's the best option to pick up here at the deadline. He's been very good in the bullpen for Boston. We can pick him up here, and all we have to do to give him up is all we have to give up to get him is this guy Hector Lopez, a 23-year-old starting rotation prospect, who, you know, could be okay, but probably isn't going to be anything. OSA thinks much higher of him than my scout does, and even OSA thinks he's even not going to be like that great. He's been in rookie ball forever, just now finally getting up into A ball. So you know, I don't think we're ever going to really miss this guy. So we're going to give them Hector Lopez, and we get Johan Eibar, who still has plenty of team control if he ends up being a very solid piece for us, and he was even an all-star this year. So we're going to pick up Johan Eibar here from the Red Sox as our lefty reliever. Now, there's a quick look down into AAA here. We do have the option to call up Michael Busch here, and he could probably be a decent bat for us in the major leagues if I was to call him up and give him a shot to be on the team, whether that it be as a bench bat or maybe just as, he'd probably just end up being like the backup first baseman, bench bat guy. But he is a guy that we could call up. The thing is, he is like the only guy in AAA who is hitting the ball well. We did just call up Satoshi Date here, who we picked up from Kansas City in the offseason in a trade at the first day of November. But he had a 1.4 WAR in AA. Generally, as a rule of thumb, I try to like to get guys up to 2 WAR to see before I call them up. But I feel like he's been hitting well enough, and he's gotten plenty enough of ABs in AA to be warranted to call up to AAA here. But just taking a quick look at the lineup here, really it's second base is ideally something we can improve upon, where like Moss goes down as a backup, he becomes more of a backup guy, maybe even play some third. Cermak starting to struggle, so I wouldn't mind replacing him, but I also just feel like he's such a high discipline guy that, like his like underlying numbers, you know, they're not like awful or anything. He should be better, I feel like. So maybe I'm not too concerned about upgrading at third base. Also, we're not trying to like, you know, upgrade here and get like a long-term guy. So maybe like a second or third baseman, definitely at least one of the like infield bat, and then maybe even like a center fielder so we could shift Kelnick back to right field. Because it's not like Luna's been okay, but he definitely hasn't been what we expected him to be. All right, so I've looked through a few of these guys here. Just an update on Kyle Lewis, because I saw he was on the trade block. He signed a one-year deal with Colorado this year, and he has been very bad in Colorado. You would think that his bat would get a boost once he signed with the Rockies, but apparently the opposite happened, as he completely fell off the map. But of everybody here, I'm really only interested in these two guys. Austin Hayes is on the last year of his contract. He would be a guy we would just plug into right field, and we would keep Kelnick in center, and Hayes here has been an extremely good power hitter. Even has some speed, but not as much speed. But he never walks is the thing. Doesn't strike out that much, but he never walks, which makes sense with his rating. He hits a lot of bombs. He's a really good power hitter, but the thing is that his production is almost entirely reliant on him actually being able to hit a lot of extra base hits, because he doesn't walk. He doesn't gonna base a lot at all. So do we take the shot that we pick him up here and he's, you know, good for us? Or we could trade for this Scott Hurst guy who has been a very good defensive... Okay, so yeah, he's been more of a good defensive right fielder. I mean, maybe he becomes pretty good at center field for us. He's only played 9 games, so it's not like you can really judge... well, yeah, he's been pretty good in his career in center. Like, he started in center in 2024. He was a bit younger back then, but he was still a very solid defensive center fielder. So I feel like if we got him to be our center fielder this year, that could definitely help out our offense or our defense and our offense, because he gets on base a lot. He walks a ton. He gets a lot of a lot of singles, because I mean, he's got a 400 OBP this year. Usually it's around 350. The thing I'm concerned about this guy, though, is, as you can see, he has little over 4.5 years of service time. Right now, he's only making 1.5. The thing is, next year, he's estimated to just jack that up to 10 million, which I'm not really trying to pay this guy 10 million. And I feel like this, even though probably the better player than Austin Hayes, and just makes more sense from a fit state. It does seem like he's been much more effective offensively this season than he has been historically, but he's been more of a defensive player. I really don't want to pay him that much money. And then, like I said, if we acquire Austin Hayes here, it would just be for the end of the season, and then maybe he helps us, I don't know, make it as a wild card. Maybe he doesn't. Just because it seems like our offense or our defense hasn't been like a huge problem. Like, we're still first in defensive efficiency. We're not like the greatest with zone rating and errors, but you know, it hasn't been like a huge problem. Our problem has been the bats. I think I'm gonna go with Austin Hayes. So yeah, we're gonna pick up Austin Hayes from the A's. It's an in-division trade, but I'm fine with that. We are going to give them this Duriel Garner guy, who is 25 years old. He's still in high A ball. You know, he could be, like, okay as something someday, but, you know, I highly doubt he turns out to be anything really that great, and we can just, you know, upgrade the rest of the season with Austin Hayes here. So we're just going to give them this Duriel Garner guy, and we're going to get Austin Hayes. And we are actually going to send down Victor Luna, just because he's really the only one that makes sense to send down. I don't really want to DFA Clase and attempt to lose him. So Luna goes down, and we are going to have Austin Hayes come onto the team. And here's what we're going to do to pick up a bat here at second base. Luis Arraez, Elisa Rise is how you say it, I believe, is on the last year of his deal with the Yankees. The Yankees are a team that stinks. They're the last place team in the AL East, so obviously it makes sense to trade somebody like this. He's having a very good hitting for average and OBP season. Obviously not a home run guy, but I mean, I will take the never strike out, walk quite a bit, put up the really good average and OBP type of hitter right now for the rest of the season. Obviously not going to be a great second baseman defensively, but that's fine. We will deal with that for the rest of the year. And all we're going to do is just give up Brian Rocchio here, where, you're probably looking at this like, oh, why would you ever trade that guy? It's like, yeah, Brian Rocchio, he's just a 4A guy. I don't feel like we're really missing out on much if we trade Rocchio here. He hasn't been anything for us when he comes up in the big leagues. He never does anything. So we're just going to get rid of him. We're going to trade Rocchio here, and also he is not a good defensive player anymore either, so we're just going to trade him, and we're going to pick up Luis Arraez. And we're going to send Juan Cornel back down to AAA just because he's the one who makes the most sense to be sent back down. Alright, so here is what the arms look like for us now. The rotation remains the same. Tompkins and Rodulfo are the back two guys now. And then it's Marklin, Garabitos, and then Johan Eibar comes in as the other setup guy. Then it's Aquino, Dean, Duke Brotherton, Eniel De Los Santos, and LJ Newsome. We also sent down Patrick Pridgeon back down to AAA because we're going to run some Michael Bush here as the backup first baseman, also a pinch hitter type. While Keith Ron Moss becomes the backup second and third baseman. He'll probably end up playing short too, but short right now is Marte, second is Arraez, third is Cermak, Austin Hayes is in right field, and Clase becomes the backup. So this is what we're going to be rolling with for a while and see how it goes. We're also going to have to bring back Mason Bryant here soon. I might do that in a couple days. And then the thing is, I kind of want to see how this lineup goes, because we don't really have anybody here that we want to send down. All these guys are people who we want in the big leagues, so we would have to send down another bat, and that would probably end up being Bush is the odd man out, so he would go back down, and Mason Bryant would come back into the rotation. But we will make that decision once Bryant's rehab is up. So yeah, we are 53 and 56. Not going to win the division, but we still have a shot at the wild card. Let's see what happens here the rest of 2027. All right, so the three games we just simmed, we smacked the Angels 9-3, 10-4, then 6-2, swept them, and then also Joe Burrows here just won Rookie of the Month in July. So solid start to our post-deadline moves here. And now Jack Walker is available to go on rehab assignment, so we're going to throw him down as well. And then also we followed up that actually it was a 4-game stat with the Angels, so we won that 3-1, and then we have lost 2 in a row to Texas here. So immediately following up that Angels series with losing to the best team in the West. And also it seems that Brian Perez here is injured, diagnosis pending, so hopefully that's not a bad injury. Alright, we're just sending Bush back down to AAA here, and Mason Bryant's going to come back up. And that's not good. Brian Perez has been diagnosed with shoulder inflammation. He has been one of our best pitchers this season. Or I shouldn't say that, actually. He's actually been kind of meh, but it's his first year back from missing it all of 2026 with the torn UCL, and now he gets shoulder inflammation at 26. He's about to be 27. Brian Perez, man, he is just had a really rough go of things with injuries, and I mean, once he returns from this, he's probably going to be like a wrecked injury proneness, which is not good for us. And now I'm trying to call up Jason Savicol here, who is a flamethrower we have down in the minor leagues, who has been tearing it up this season in AAA, his second year in AAA for us, and I think I want to reward him. The thing is, we have to make room on the 40-man. Never mind, I just realized that since Perez is now on the 60-day IL, he is no longer on the 40-man, so Jason Savicol here is being promoted to the major leagues, wearing number 81. He now becomes a middle reliever, and Eniel De Los Santos comes in as our 5th starter here, which is good because he's been unhappy all year long, because I keep getting messages from him being like, oh, I want to be a starter, and I'm fine with him being a starter, so he's going to start. Alright, so Greek Dean here is now day-to-day with a strained oblique for 3 weeks. Also, it looks like Savicol just got injured when I called him up. We've had a lot of injuries this year, so I'm thinking, did we just extend our trainer? I'm pretty sure we just did, or recently. Yeah, we have him extended through 2030, but he's not making a ton of money because he's a trainer, so I think we are going to fire Torgerson here at the end of the year, and we're going to try to pick up ourselves a team trainer who specializes in prevention. who's also probably going to be have good ratings, because I want to try to, limit these injuries that we've been getting, because I feel like we've been getting a lot the past couple seasons. Also, I've already gotten DMs, like I'm addicted to Twitter here. I've gotten PMs from Austin Hayes and Luis Ariz, both saying they would like to extend their stays in Seattle, so I doubt that happens, but just a little interesting tidbit there. So yeah, we're just going to throw Dean here on the IL just while he's recovering from that 3-week strained oblique. And Jack Walker's only had 1 inning of AAA rehab time, so we're not going to call him back up quite yet. Instead, Colby Halter here is going to come back up to the major leagues and see if he does better in the 7 innings than he had for us at the end of last season. Okay, of course, I call up Jason Savicool, and he immediately gets a bone spur in his elbow. So once again, another long-term injury for us. He's going on the IL. 60-day IL, another spot has opened up. Looks like Max Carlson here has actually returned from his thing, and we have to throw him on a rehab assignment as well. And now we are back to a situation again where we only have 1 lefty in our bullpen. Once again, it's only been like a day or 2, so Jack Walker still does not have any more really rehab time, so I'm not trying to call him up right away either. We are instead going to go with Mason Meyer here, who is a guy we've had in AAA for a few seasons now. He's been solid, he's been okay in AAA. He's a lefty, one of really the only lefties we have down in AAA, so we're just going to call him up, and we have a spot open in the 40-man now because Jason Savicool got hurt. So he now becomes a middle reliever, and we are going to keep chugging things along. Another injury that's not great. It's a day-to-day, but it's going to take 3 to 4 weeks to recover from. Evan White, it's a minimal hitting, minimal running injury. So the thing is, do we want to have Evan White for 3 to 4 weeks playing through it and possibly extending and making it worse? Or do we just want to throw him on the IL here and hope that, like, Michael Busch can play a solid enough first base while he's gone to, get it geared back up? I think that's what we're going to go with here as Evan White, who is usually, look at how many games he's played for us in his career here. The guy has, in 2020, he got called up mid-season, so that's why he didn't play a full season there. But, he's Mr. Consistency. This is like the first time he's ever really been hurt for us, I believe. But I think we're actually going to have him play through it just because we're trying to make the playoffs here. It's only a minimal hitting, not throwing at all. Not that throwing really matters, but it's only a minimal thing. So I feel like he should be fine. Maybe. We'll reassess in a bit, but I think we're going to play him through it for now. It is also worth mentioning, though, that we've been playing decently well. We are now 69 and 66 on the season. 2 games back of the wildcard spot. We are the best wildcard team here in the standings when it comes to AL West teams, with the Astros behind us, 2.5, a half game behind us. And then the Rays and the Red Sox, who we're chasing. And we just had a big series against the Red Sox here as we took that series 2 games to 1. We got shut up by Syndergaard here on the most recent game. But we had a series win against Minnesota before that. Lost the series to Oakland, but then took a series over Cleveland. Took this series over Oakland. Took this series over the Angels. And now this guy who tore his Achilles early on in the season is back, so we can throw him on a rehab assignment. And now Dean is back, and he's going to go on a rehab assignment as well. It's also the roster expansion time. 2 spots have opened up on the roster because it is September 1st. One of those spots is going to go to Jack Walker here, who's gotten 10 innings of rehab assignment down in AAA. Has been decently solid, so we are going to... Decently solid is just a ridiculous phrase, but we're going to call up Jack Walker back to the big leagues. And then Michael Busch is going to get the other spot on the team as a backup bench bat. So he now becomes the backup first baseman, hopefully takes some strain off of Evan White, who is playing through this strained rib cage. All right, so Juan Jerez here has played 11 rehab games here. He's been pretty solid in those 11 rehab games, and we are going to throw him back on the Major League roster. And Cermak here has been not great recently, while Keith Ron Moss has actually been pretty good. So we're going to send down Cermak, and Perez is going to take his spot. We need to make room on the 40-man. Well, it looks like J.J. Feeler has been bad in AAA this year and has also gotten hurt, so we're going to transfer him to the 60-day IL, take him off the 40-man roster, and Juan Jerez can take his spot. And we just had a disastrous run to end the season here. You can see we lost the last 2 games here to Houston. We actually got swept by Houston after losing a series to the Angels. Lost a series to Cleveland, or no, actually split that. It was a 4-game set. Lost both the games of a 2-game set to San Diego. Somehow won a series. We swept the Texas Rangers, who were dominant this year. And that was really where it started going downhill for us, was after we swept the Rangers, we immediately just started losing a bunch of games, a bunch of series, and we slid and we missed out on the wild card. 4 games back in the wild card. Finished the season at 81-81 in this retooling year. Yeah, just, not the greatest year of Mariners baseball, that's for sure. Lots of injuries, lots of just, scrapping things together as the season went on. If we take a look at the full standings here, you can see 81-81, 16 games out of the AL West, 4 games out of the wild card here. The Blue Jays and the Rays and the Orioles all made the playoffs from the East. The Tigers won the West. In the NL, the Braves won the East. The Marlins and Phillies were all above 500 but did not make the playoffs. Brewers won the Central. Padres and Dodgers atop of the West, both 90-game winners. And then the D-backs get in as a wild card team. They're going to be playing the Dodgers in the wild card as the Marlins miss out by exactly 1 game. And if you take a look at here, we did improve a little bit with the hitting once we picked up Austin Hayes and Luis Arraez at the deadline, but, not too much. And then once again, extremely good pitching team, first in runs against, first in ERA starters, first in bullpen ERA, or third in bullpen ERA, first in FIP, first in pitching WAR, second in strikeouts, second in defensive efficiency, fourth in zone rating. It just, the bats once again could not come through, as we are once again an extremely good pitching team, but nothing going with the bats. And it's just we have bats, Bynum picked it up towards the end of the season. He should be good for us for quite a while now. He definitely had a much better end to season than he did. He struggled in April, had a pretty decent May. It was really just April and July where he still hit a bunch of home runs in July, but it was really March and April. He got off to a really bad start and then ramped it up as the season went on, so I'm not worried about Rusty Bynum here, as he had a pretty solid year. Jared Kelenic did his thing. Ideally next year he's the right fielder and we try to find a guy who can play center field long term for us, whether that's Jonathan Clase. I don't particularly think it is, but Kelenic's probably the from here on out the right fielder for us. And then our current right fielder, Austin Hayes, had a very, very good stint with us, decided to walk. He had a higher OBP with us than he's ever had with anybody in this save. But yeah, just even he did everything he could. He was tearing the cover off the ball with us, and just we just still couldn't make it, even with his bat helping us produce. Luis Arraez, definitely not as well as he was playing with the Yankees, but I mean, I won't complain about what he did. We expected him to do about that, but yeah, it just wasn't enough. Joe Burrows had a very, very solid first full season with us, the 3.4 WAR as our leadoff hitter. He definitely, OBP came down towards the end of the year, but still a very solid season, 26 home runs, 23 doubles. Evan White struggled towards the end, playing through that injury, so I'm not, writing off Evan White as a guy who struggled towards the end. It was more that he played through a strained rib cage through over a month, essentially, because for a couple weeks, once he recovered from it, it was just unknown return time. But even with that, he still put up a 3 WAR, still was a very solid player, definitely hit way less home runs, more of a 2024 season for him, but, still a very solid player for us. And also with Evan White here, you can see he's a free agent next year, because we actually has a team option, so we can decide either to decline his option or keep him on. We're definitely going to actually keep him around, because we don't want to lose Evan White, but next year is the last year we have Evan White signed. Tyler Stevenson definitely cooled off towards the end of the year, but still a decent season as a catcher. Do I bring him back? Probably not. I'm probably going to buy him out and then try to piece together the catcher spot in the offseason. Ethan Moss, he was okay, I guess, as a bench bat for most of the season, but also started down the line. I like Keithron Moss. I have an attachment to him for some reason, probably just because he rose through our system so fast after we traded for him, but is he really a piece for us heading into the future as like a main guy? Not really. Marte, he struggled a bit this year, did not hit as nearly as well as he did previously. I mean, he hit 30 doubles, 25 home runs his second full season. His first full season where he was only okay at the plate, but still hit a lot of doubles and home runs. Doubles, home runs in 2026, and then this year he didn't play as much, obviously, because he missed a lot of the year with a broken kneecap, but he only hit 4 home runs through his 281 plate appearances, so definitely not a great offensive year for Marte, and it looks like he even struggled defensively, which is not good to see. And he's also down to fragile. We haven't bought out the rest of his arbitration, but we're just getting a lot of bad luck with injuries, essentially. Dylan Dingler was actually very good as the backup catcher behind Tyler Stevenson this year, so that's good to see because he's probably going to be our full-term starter next year. He's going to be the guy, and hopefully he's able to keep improving because he's improved every year he's been with us. So hopefully he's able to keep that going heading into 2028. And then, like I said, Class A, probably not the long-term center fielder. If we do keep him around, he's a 4th outfielder at best, but I might even try to trade him in the offseason, maybe try to package him with somebody else and improve at the center field position or some other position. And then if we take a look at the arms here, solid season all around for the rotation, even with the injuries. Obviously, our pitching is never the issue. Our pitching is always super, super, super solid. Soroka got off to a bad start, but definitely picked it up towards the end. The OPS against was not great, but I did notice he was on a hot streak for a bit. If we see here, August was very good. Looks like he got bumped around a bit in September. But he was very shaky this season in general, so hopefully that improves heading into 2028. Hopefully he's more of like Cy Young Soroka, but even if he's 30, he's on the wrong side of 30 now. He's towards the back end of this deal that we have him for, where we have him guaranteed next year, and then a player opt-out for 2029, which essentially means if he pitches like shit in 2028, he's definitely going to accept it. But if he pitches like amazing in 2028, he's going to be like, no, I'm opting out. But Ben Tompkins here is a guy who definitely has shown promise here. 21 starts, he got mixed between the bullpen and the rotation this year, but I mean, he was very, very good. He's a guy I might even try to sign to a multi-year extension here through multi-years of his arbitration in the offseason. Nathaniel Garabito is another guy like that who we might try to sign for multi-year through his arbitration. Very good reliever, and he's been good in his spot starts that he's had for us, so that's great to see from him. And look at this, his changeup actually developed, which is incredible. Usually guys that have changeups just don't ever develop it for whatever reason. They'll be stuck on like 30 out of 60 for changeup, but Nathaniel Garabito's here developed his changeup. And then Jose Raldufo was pretty solid as well in his 12 starts. Once again, another guy who split the year between the bullpen and a starter, but was very solid in both roles. And then LJ Newsome got off to a shaky start, had a bounce-back year, though. Much, much better year for us. He got 1 start at the end of the year, but it seems like he's just going to be a very good reliever for us. And I'm totally fine with that, having him for this upcoming year guaranteed, and then a team opt-out for 2029, which is what we re-signed him to. Mason Bryant was very solid in the pen for us. That's good to see. We also had Brandon Marklin on the 1-year deal. He was very solid in his 1 year for us. Do we bring him back? Probably not. But he was just one of our 1-year veteran reliever guys on a cheap deal. Duke Brotherton was okay. Nothing too special, but he was fine. We still have him for multiple seasons, so he's, like to see him improve upon that, wearing 69. Just an incredible name, Duke Brotherton, wearing 69. Just incredible there. Is he real? I mean, he's got to be a real player, right? Yeah, he was the 2020 pick, so he's got to be a real player. Aquino had a bounce-back year in the bullpen, so that's good to see as well. Who else do we have here? Jack Walker had some injuries this season, but he was okay in the pen. Nothing too special, but still pretty decent as a lefty. Mason Meyer had 15 innings once we got called up, and he was, not too special, but he's more of a guy who just got called up because we just desperately needed the lefty more than he's like a part of our plans. Colby Halter here was actually very good when we called him up here. He is a guy who Definitely looks like he could be a long-term part of our pen. And then Eniel De Los Santos actually struggled a bit towards the end of the season, which is not good. He is also a free agent this year. He's a free agent, so we'll either have to re-sign him or just let him walk. And then of the guys who got hurt, there was Logan Gilbert, who was having a bounce-back season, and then partially towards the UCL. He should be back for next season to start, so hopefully he's not like, totally crippled for the last season of his contract, because he is expiring after 2028. Actually, we have him a team option, so we could actually not bring him back if we wanted to, which I doubt we buy him out, but I mean, it could be an option. Brian Perez here, I'm hoping that he does not get downgraded to wrecked, and I'm hoping he can figure out something, and maybe like once we fire our trainer and hire a different guy, that he is somebody who's going to benefit from that, because he's still like really good when he pitches. It's just he's hurt a lot. And then Dean here wasn't really any good. Had a very good year in the pen for us, we saw last year, but then this year just not so great. He had basically three not so great years for us in the pen, and then one really good year. So, I mean, is Dean the total weirdo through his 85 miles an hour, just has a really good curveball and changeup? Is he really the most special pitcher? Probably not, but is he worth keeping around at like, 1 million? Probably. I was hoping this Jason Savacool guy was going to be really good in the majors, but we never even got a chance to see because he threw 3 innings and then had a bone chip. Or a bone spur, not a bone chip, a bone spur. And then we even had some of the guys that we traded for, like Blake Money here, we got from the Dodgers last offseason, who I was hoping to maybe get up in the big leagues at some point. Also tore his labrum in AAA. Our second-round pick this season in 2027 tore his labrum in high A ball. This Willie Ramos guy, who's even durable and has kind of been a guy who just randomly came out of nowhere as a scouting discovery, and I thought could be something if he could develop his control and slider. He also tore his UCL. And then you even have somebody like Sandy Gaston, who is a guy who every time I looked to possibly call him up, he was hurt. He had like 7 different injuries this year, but when he did pitch, I mean, you can see this. He like nobody hit off this guy. So would I like to bring him up at some point next season? Yes. But hopefully he's just not injured every other time I look at him. So now the league leaders around the league. The batting average, look at that, Austin Hayes up here in 7th in the batting average leaders. Cody Bellinger hit 68 home runs this season. I wonder who's going to win the MVP in the National League. That'll be what is like 6th MVP, some ridiculous like that. It seems like this McAnthony Valdez guy with the he was their first round pick in 2022 has been just he had a breakout year this year. His second year in the big leagues, I mean, this guy is incredible, so watch that with this guy with the Tigers. It took him quite a bit to get up to the big leagues, but once he did, it has really paid off. Bellinger is just all over these lists. I mean, an 11 WAR for Bellinger. Looks like Soto might even get MVP in the American League. The hits leader was Ozzie Albies, and there's that Valdez guy. Runs, Bellinger. Doubles was Rafi Devers with 62 baggers. Joe Burrow's at 8 triples, which was in the top of the triples list. And then if we take a look at the pitching side of things, the ERA leader was Mauricio Rodriguez, a 26-year-old starter who they got from the Sugarland Skeeters in Indie Ball in 2020. And it seems like he's been a decent starter, and then just all of a sudden this year had like a really, really good year. The save leader was this Bednar guy from the Jacksonville Herons. Who else? The WAR leader was, I thought it was Chris Densing, and I was like, that guy's still in the league? But no, it's Cole Densing, assuming that's how you pronounce his name. He was a free agent signed in 2024 for them. Yeah, just sort of like just some random guy, and then all of a sudden the past 2 years, he's just had these incredible starting years. So just some really talent randomness there. 80 grade changeup guy. The strikeout leader was this Houston Astros pitcher, Valente Beloso, yet again. There's the Densing guy. Shane Bieber's kind of peppered all over these lists, as he always is. Top of the strikeout/walks rating. The FIP leader was Densing. Justin Dunn, 6th in ERA+. He had another good season for us, as to be expected. And then Justin Dunn was also 4th in opponent's batting average. The only guy who had an opponent's batting average under 200 was this Brandon Barrera guy from the Herons, and then it was Glasnow. Peyton Jones from the Padres, and then Justin Dunn. Alrighty, so the 2020 season has come to an end. Not a very good season score for us. That was to be expected. And the Arizona Diamondbacks won the World Series in 5 games over the Detroit Tigers. Lots of teams this year's playoffs that we aren't used to seeing. Like the Braves have been regulars, so have the Padres, so have the Dodgers. The Rays have been here quite a bit, but I mean, the Orioles are a very new team that we saw. The Blue Jays and the Tigers are new. The Rangers are definitely new. They've been garbage and just all of a sudden had a really good year. The Tigers are definitely new. The D-backs are new. The Brewers are pretty new. But yeah, so the D-backs beat out the Tigers in the World Series as they win the 2027 World Series. And we're going to leave things off there, as in the next episode we will dive into the offseason and prepare for the up-and-coming 2028 season.